douse the flames. No word of any injuries.
What we want to make sure is that we coordinate with Russia, that we're focused on cybersecurity together, that we make sure that they never interfere in any democratic elections or conduct any cybersecurity. And this is like any other strategic alliance, whether we're doing military exercises with our allies or anything else. This is about having capabilities to make sure that we both fight cyber together.
Well, that, of course, is Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin this morning defending the cybersecurity agreement the Trump administration says it brokered with Russia at the G20 summit. Of course, the final touches occurred during that long-awaited face-to-face between the president and Russian President Vladimir Putin. But at least one Republican senator today taking a big issue with that agreement. Marco Rubio tweeting this, quote, "Partnering with Putin on a cybersecurity unit is akin to partnering with Assad on a chemical weapons unit." Others say it's like hiring a burglar to design your house security system or a mob guy as a bank teller. North Carolina Congressman Robert Pittenger joins us. He's chairman of the Congressional Task Force on Terrorism and Unconventional Warfare, and certainly cyber attacks are unconventional warfare. He also serves on the House Financial Services Committee and is in Charlotte this afternoon. So, Congressman, what do you think about partnering with Russia, who by all accounts interfered with the election process? Do you think this is, as the Treasury Secretary says, basically a wise move?
Well, I think it's part of the puzzle that the president's putting together. I don't ever think at this point you should limit the president's scope of what he intends to do. He doesn't show all his cards. Certainly he's not limited by this arrangement and this relationship with Russia. There are many ways that we will be able to defend ourselves and give the type of oversight that's needed.
Well, you know, some today are saying that the president wasn't tough enough, that there have to be more sanctions, that Russia has to be punished further for the election interference. Well, you just heard the Treasury Secretary, though, say, look, they do have agreements. There are a variety and range of diplomatic agreements that we do have with that country. And some say, why shouldn't, no matter what they did, this be part of that?
Well, I understand that, and the House may take up certain sanctions as well as the Senate did. I think it's incumbent upon the president, his role and responsibility, to forge a relationship with Russia. We have serious challenges in our world today, considering ISIS, North Korea, Syria, Iran. He's looking at a larger picture, and he's trying to determine how and what way Russia can play a role in addressing these major challenges.
You know, it's an interesting stance when, you know, President Obama, after the election, said that in terms of the election interference, he said, was quoted as saying we should move on. You have the President of the United States basically saying that. Others, you know, harshly criticizing that stance. I mean, is it possible, do you think, to work with, you know, Vladimir Putin and considering the fact that he invaded, you know, Crimea, that he's propping up Assad? You've got this humanitarian crisis in Syria. I mean, they stand for everything that is against the democracy and freedom of the United States and our allies. But are there common areas, do you think, then, that we can work with them?
Well, yes, sir, I understand that. I don't think the president needs a tutorial on Vladimir Putin and his background with the KGB, the lack of free access to the press, the great number of people who all of a sudden are missing in Russia today. I think the president is fully aware of his adversary in Vladimir Putin. At the same time, Russia has 20 million Muslims who live there. There are 2,000 Russians who went to fight along with ISIS in Syria as well as in Afghanistan. We have some ability, hopefully, and the president said he's going to try. He doesn't know whether he'll be able to succeed or not. But we want to try to engage Russia as best we can. North Korea is a major challenge, a major threat. Iran is. Syria, we have a mess there that was left to us by President Obama. And I think if the president can, he will try to forge tactical relationships with Russia and with President Putin.
You just mentioned North Korea. You've got a bill about North Korea's cybersecurity. I mean, you know, this really is the 21st century way to wage war without having to fire a shot.
Yes, sir, it sure is. Cyber is an enormous threat to our infrastructure, to our military, to our businesses throughout this country. And my amendment to the NDAA bill, the National Defense Authorization Act, would require the Office of Defense Intelligence to list all the companies who are complicit, who have worked with North Korea in their cyber efforts, and that these companies would not allow to do business with or associate with the Department of Defense. The President of the United States would have the capacity of a waiver for that, but we want to isolate those companies and not allow them to be engaged with us. We have to secure our country. We have to make sure that those who are our adversaries cannot take an advantage of us. In like manner, I have a bill with Senator Cornyn, and this bill is to strengthen CFIUS, the Committee for Financial Investments in the United States. There are many countries like China who are buying a major interest in technology firms who could have an impact on our own national security. We recently fined ZTE, a Chinese firm, $1 billion for selling. That's a U.S. firm owned by the Chinese for selling technology to Iran. So we want to strengthen CFIUS. That's what this bill is about with Senator Cornyn and I. There are many fronts that we have to fight on cyber war.
That is the threat. It's astounding. And it really is, when you go through this, Congressman, unbelievable that some of these countries have been doing this so freely without the ramifications. So thank you. Good luck with your bill. And we'll see if we can get a better handle on it. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Well, the Senate Majority Leader singing a bit of a different tune on the bill to replace and repeal and replace Obamacare.